Hi, this is Alimayo Arango of littleguy.cgi.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make quick and easy 3D low poly hair inside of Blender 2.71. So let's get started. Okay, if you're new to Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe or other 3D programs. Okay, in Blender you generally operate in two different modes. You start off in object mode where you move full objects. We're going to click right here. We're going to select our object. We're going to click right here. This will take us into edit mode. Now in edit mode in Blender, for those people who are new, you generally move by vertices, edges, or faces. Basically, to make this hair, all we're going to do is we're going to go to Face Select. We're then going to go to our Paint Select. You hit C for Paint Select. Let me turn my screencast keys on. You hit C for your for Paint Select. So I'm going to hit C. If I roll the mouse wheel out, the area of influence for the paint gets bigger. If I roll it in, it gets smaller. So what I'm going to do is I am going to paint all right here. If you get something you don't want to paint, you just with Paint Select on, you hold your middle mouse button and you will unselect it. So you want to just get all of the general area where I'm going to right click to come out of here, and I'm going to hold my middle mouse button to turn the camera. Okay, I'm just going to hit C, hit C again to paint. We're just getting all the area where hair would generally tend to be at. I'm going to hold Shift in the middle mouse button to pan, and I'm just going to grab all this. So you start off, like this, which is basic hair would be a low, short, low or short haircut. And if you were doing going for a low, a short haircut, you could just go right from here. Since this is a girl, we're going to give her long hair. So what we're going to do is hit C and select all of this right here. I'm going to right click to get out of actually wait a second, I'm going to hit C and I'm going to paint select all of this right here around the ear. I don't want this, so I'm going to hold my middle mouse button right there. I will select all of this here. And we won't make it too long for clothing and stuff like that. But yeah, all this right here, we'll grab that. We'll grab that right there too. And I don't have a mirror modifier on here. If you had that, it would make it a little bit easier. I'm just going to roll my mouse button to zoom in. Grab all this. Grab all this. Actually, I do want a separation here. So we'll grab that. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate. And it doesn't have to be, for what we're doing, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. Yeah, I actually don't want all this here. What the heck, we'll grab that. Grab this here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to hit Shift D, and then we can we'll just left click to lock it in so it's duplicated. We'll hit Control Space to bring out our manipulator. If I didn't say that before, you hit Control Space, it temporarily takes this away. Hit Control Space back, Control Space again, it brings it back. What we're actually going to do is we're going to we'll leave it in place, right? So anyway, the important thing is it's important to see that. I'll actually pull it to the side. I'm going to hold Shift in the middle mouse button and go to the side. Whoops. Okay, so here is just duplicated faces. We marked the faces and we duplicated them, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to hit P to bring up our separate menu. We're going to choose a selection on here. Now what that just did was those faces. Let me come into object. I'm going to click here and go into object mode. We were an object of this female body mesh, right? Which is right here. Here's the female body mesh, and here is what's going to be hair. So we double click right here. We'll name this. We'll name it F for female hair. So now we have the hair right here, right? Okay, now what we're going to do is, with this object selected, we're going to hit tab to go in here. And basically on this female model, we had a subdivision surface on it. So we have a subdivision surface on the hair. Just so we can focus just on the hair, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit on your number keypad. There's a backspace key. If you hit that key, it's right above the 8 on the full number keypad. It takes you into local mode, and what local mode is just so you can just see what you're working on. It's very useful. Anyway, in local mode, we see just a hair piece. Now this hair piece, because it came from the female mesh had a subdivision surface on it, and that's why it's smooth. What we want to do is select this eye, go to your wrench, which is your modifier button. Looks like a wrench, and if you're following along with me or in a similar model like with me, you hit the eye, and basically this just allows you to work a little bit easier. So with this hair, basically what we're going to do is you're going to look at these lines here, and you're just going to put a loop cut next to each line. So here's a loop cut, that purple there. I hit Control R to bring up this loop cut, right? And this purple line is just giving me a preview where this loop cut's going to go. So I'm going to click here. And you want to move it to about here. All right, so I left click once, then twice to totally lock that loop cut in. Now I'm going to hit Control R. I'm going to put a loop cut right here in between, so it's in between these two loop cuts, and that's important. Now I'm just going to hit S to scale. Okay, I was wondering why this was down here, but the reason why it's down there is because the loop cut is running all the way down here, which is fine, which is actually good. Anyway, what we're going to do is you're just going to go follow these lines that are already there. So you're looking for a loop cut, right? So I'm going to left click to lock in. I just did Control R to put this new loop cut in, right? This loop cut was here from when we, duplicated the faces from the female mesh. And then we just do again, we hit Control R, put a loop cut right here, left click twice, or left click, and then you scale down, not too much, not too little, in between, and we're just going to keep doing this. Control R, we're just going for the loops that are already there from the female mesh, or whatever mesh you're working on. Get it right in between, scale down. We'll go to this one now. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Control R, move this a little bit closer. Control R, put it right in the center. So you're left clicking twice. Same thing with this loop cut here. And we're just duplicating, put it in between. You're just looking for those loop cuts and then scaling down. Here's another one. You're just going to general space that I'm showing you. Loop cut in between. Left click twice. This loop cut right here is our next one. So we're just looking for a loop cut. We put our loop cut next to it. Then we put one in between it. You left click twice. Once locks a loop cut in, the other one locks it in more, but it keeps it selected. If you click a third time, you'll lose your selection. Okay, and we just continue on what we're doing. We again, we hit Control R, bring up the loop cut. We have our preview. We're going for this one right here. We put it there, move it a little bit closer. Then we hit Control R, put our loop cut in between. We click twice, hit scale, scale it down some. Okay, so now it looks like we have all our general ones going, our ones going from here down there are good. So now we're going to go the sideways. And we're still doing the same thing. We're going to hit Control R, get a loop cut. It might look a little bit stranger on the side here. Line it up, watch, see up there. Don't get too crazy like this irregularity. It's fine, but don't, push it right into the other one. You need space to get this other loop cut in. So you're left clicking twice. Scale it down. Oop, not too much. Same thing here. Control R. Control R for our important one, which is the center one. Click once, click twice. We still have our selection. To get more control over a scale view, if you start to scale right here, you have more of a more effect from scaling, almost too much. If you actually move your mouse over here and hit scale, now it's a little bit easier to control yourself as you scale. Anyway, we're going to do the same thing. Hit Control R, loop cut, pull it close to here. Control R, put a loop cut in the center. Left click twice to turn in, to lock in. Right here. Sometimes, see this right here? Sometimes you might need to go behind it to get a good loop cut. Right here. Control R, put your loop cut there in the center. And good, looks like we have most or all of them. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this eye back on, which is going to show us our subdivision surface on here. Then we're going to hit the backspace right next to that number lock key or number pad slash, I guess. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to, whoops, Control Z. We're going to hit A to select all of it. Then we're going to move this over top of where it previously was. Just putting it right back there on the head. And most of the time when you scale in Blender, you use S to scale. Here you're going to use Alt S, which is going to give you a different type of scaling that is very good for what we're trying to do here. So we're going to hit Alt S, pull, and there you go. You can see the hair expanding there. I'm going to hit Tab. Hit Tab to go back in. And then actually by hitting Alt S you can control how deep your hair is. How deep these the separation is there. And then you see this part right here. There's two ways that you can go about this. You can do you can put a solidify on here to make this hair not seem so thin like it does. Like I'm going to show you this method though. So we're in edit mode for the hair, and what you're going to do is hold Alt, and you're just going to select, let's turn this modifier off. We're actually going to go back into local mode, so I'm going to hit that backspace next to the number lock key again. And what I did, I'm going to hit A so I can show you this again. I'm holding with edge select on, I'm going to hold Alt and select this edge right here. All right. Now with that edge selected, but by selecting Alt, it allowed me to select this entire edge loop right here. So now I'm going to hit E to extrude to create new geometry. I'm going to left click to lock in. Doesn't look like anything happened, but I created new geometry. It did happen. And what happened is we're able to now, when we scale, do this. And basically what that's doing is we're able to give ourselves thickness just by scaling on no particular axis. Okay, and now with that done, what we're going to do is we're actually going to hit E to extrude on the Y-axis. Whoops. See that green line is showing me a preview of where I'm going to be able to extrude to. And we're just going to take it back just so we have thickness coming out, and then we have a little bit of thickness actually going back because the face will obviously be sitting right here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn our subdivision back on. We're going to hit a number slash, I guess it is, to go back so we can take a look at the hair. And we'll hit tab so we can see it. You see how the hair, there's like this stuff going across, and that looks kind of strange. Suppose you're like it's starting to look like a chessboard or something like that. You can easily fix this, and the way you do that is just with the hair selected, you'll go to sculpt mode. If you don't see your tools up, hit T and that'll pop up. You want to go to your smooth tool. I'm just going to roll the middle mouse button to zoom in, hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan, and you're just going to go over what you don't like here. So if you don't like this going across here, see that? So it just takes that horizontal line away, and obviously if you spend time in here in sculpt mode, you can have that perfect. So I didn't like it going around the back. I'm fine. For myself, I'm fine with it going there. And see how this is pushed right against the face here. We can also just pull this out. And just so you know, by the way, if you look right here in your tool panel and you scroll down, you see this mirror. If you put a mirror X, whatever I do, if I pull on this side, oops, if I go to grab, if I pull on this side, you'll see everything that I do to this side happens to that side. So I can hit, if I hit F and pull, my area of influence will get bigger. If I hit F and push in, it'll get smaller. So I'm going to make it bigger, and I can easily pull this hair right here out to the side. And the same thing with the hair back there, so it's not, so close to the body. And what I like about this hairstyle, this way of doing hair, while it generally is not going to give you, a lot of different separate pieces to control, like you can get with curves, it's fairly quick. And it gives you a lot of options. And see how, like right here, you might sit there and say, okay, this is up here. What about her forehead? What if you have you want a hairstyle that's kind of like coming down like over her eye or something like that? If we wanted that type of hairstyle, one of the things we can do is just click here, go back to object mode. We're going to select the actual body mesh. And see this right here? We'll just hit, make sure you're on face select. I'll zoom in, we'll hit C. And I'm just going to roll my, C gives you paint select. I'm just going to roll this and just grab this right here. And then I'm going to hit Shift D just like we did before. Left click to lock in. I'll pull it up so we can see what we have here. I don't want that extra piece, so I'll select that and hit X and delete the face on it. And now that we have this piece right here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select a face here. I'm going to hit Control L so we grab that entire piece that we just made. I'm going to hit P, which brings up our separate menu. Remember, this is how we separated the hair in the first place. We're going to separate it. We'll click here. We'll go back into object mode. We'll make sure we're selected on this hair right here. I'm going to click here and name this front hair. And then with this little piece of hair right here, well, with this selected, we're in object mode. We're going to hit tab to go into edit mode. I'm going to roll with my middle mouse button, hold shift and the middle mouse button to move. We're going to do just like we did before. We'll hit Control R, put a loop cut right here, move it in. Let's actually turn off our subdivision surface to make it easier. And we do here just like we did before. We hit Control R, put a loop cut in between. Left click twice, move our mouse off to the side a little bit. That's to scale in. Wait, Control R, put another loop cut. Control R, put the loop cut in between. Left click twice, move off, hit S to scale down. Hit Control R, put a loop cut. We're going to click one time. I'm actually going to drag this in a little bit. There. Now we're going to hit Control R, put a loop cut in. Left click twice, move off just a little bit so our scale is better. And then we're going to turn our subdivision surface back on. I'm just looking at seeing if I want. I'm actually going to hit S to scale and make these deeper cuts. And we can just reselect these edges if they're not deep enough. You just hold Alt and the edge and you'll just grab that and put even a more of a scale on it. So I'm just holding, with edge select on, I'm holding Alt and selecting the edge that I want. And I'm just giving it a more extreme, there we go. That's better. Alright, so with that done, we'll just move this down into the position we want. See how this 3D cursor is off? This 3D cursor is off. This is the manipulator anyway, which we're using to control this. It's off. The reason why it's off is because this was a piece of this, the female mesh here. So what I'm going to do is, what we can do to fix that so that this is up, you'll just click Object, Transform, and then Origin to Geometry. And now you can see the 3D cursor is right, you know, as it should be. So we'll just take this. I'm going to hit Tab to go into Edit mode. I'm going to hit A to select this whole thing. I'm going to hit S to scale on the Y-axis. Then I'm going to hit R to rotate on the X-axis. Just to give that a little bit more length, and we'll take this down here like this. We'll hit R to rotate on the X-axis again, just to get that closer. There we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to scope, back into scope mode. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have this grab on, but we want it to be, when we grab here, see how it's on both sides, which is good if we want it thicker, because it's mirroring. And the reason why it's mirroring, it's basically when I pull here, it's doing the same thing on the other side. The reason why it's doing that is because I have this mirror symmetry lock here, so we can turn this off. Now when we turn that off, now what we can do is take this and grab this, you know, position it, and you can imagine the things. So now it's kind of, you know, covering her eye. We can even pull it kind of like that. So you can imagine the different hairstyles you can do with this. And want to change this so that it's not covering her eye like that, I can just pop right out into back into edit mode, and then I can hit S to scale it down some, take the manipulator and just move it so it's not, you know, covering her eye so much, where I can actually hit R to rotate on the X-axis and just kind of like tilt it so it's kind of covering her eye, but it's not. But yeah, you can I mean, you can have a ball with this this hairstyle. You can increase the thickness of this in a similar way like you did before, where you grab the edge and you just bring the edge down. Or you can actually do, like, suppose you don't like, you want a faster way than how I showed you, where you grab the edge. I like grabbing the edges where you extrude and kind of give it thickness that way. I like that because it seems like the polygon count is kept lower by that. But here's another way to get rid of this that thin look that the hair has. And what that is it's a solidify modifier. So you just with this selected, or being in here, because this hair piece is actually its own separate object. This is front hair. We just click here, we go to solidify. Now that modifier's added. Here's the modifier options right here, and if you just click thickness, see that right there, you can actually see the hair getting thicker. So it's just a way of getting that thickness without having to play around with edges and all that, like, you know, like how we did before. Okay, then you can just click apply, or actually we'll go to edit mode, go out of edit mode into object mode, and we'll just apply the solidify modifier. Now you have that thickness, you know, in there. Suppose you sat there and you said you really don't like how this is. See how you can kind of like see the forehead? That's also easily fixable. We can just click the female hair here, take this, go into scope mode, and then in scope mode what we're going to do is we're actually going to zoom. We're actually going to hit F to make our area of influence smaller, and we're just going to pull this actually down. So we'll do it a little bit easier from a side view. Let me hit F and pull to increase it. So we'll just pull this down with the other side, because I could have did mirror and did it easier. Anyway, you're just going to, you know, pull this right down into the scalp. And now what we'll do is zoom out. One thing that's interesting in sculpt mode, depending, like when I take my view out like here, it actually affects my area of influence. So we'll just pull this forward slightly. I'll hit F, shrink that down so we can get that. And we're actually just taking advantage of the fact that we can push this right down into the head. Hit F. Pull this forward just slightly. And now what we'll do is we'll just grab this right here. We'll pull this up. And you can imagine if you spent, more time, obviously you would have, the more time you spend, you'll have better results. That's what I say when I'm making a video and I can feel myself starting to go into non-talking, trying to fix something mood, and it brings me out. That little piece right there. Anyway, that kind of like thing that almost looked like a cover is gone, and I just wanted to show you guys this effect. I mean, this way of creating hair, it's pretty quick. It's not necessarily going to give you flowing hair, but it will give you I think fairly decent hair, especially if you play with it a little bit. And even the playing with, I think that you can play with it for a fairly short amount of time and get fairly decent results. Okay, and using this mode, you just have to remember to do things like go back, make sure the hair here is pushed back behind the ears. What I like about this method, it's pretty fast. We'll take a look at this in rendered mode. And what we can do is very quickly, even with the hair color currently has the same color as the face, since it came from the face. It will click into back into solid mode. We'll take this piece. We'll go to object mode. We'll take this piece right here, this front hair. What we're going to do is, with that front hair selected, we're going to hold shift and select our main female hair, which is our F hair, and we're going to hit Control J. And now you can see when I click to hide, they're both one part now. So it's very easy to make a piece like we did this, and then just rejoin it to the hair. What we're going to do here is we're just going to, with this selected, make sure we have this selected. We're going to click this. Make sure you're on the material panel. So here's your material panel right here button. Once you're on there, you're going to click right here to make a new material. You're going to hit plus. Just going to drag this up, and then we'll pick a color. And whatever color you want to pick, red, blonde, whatever, you hit go into edit mode. You're going to hit A to select everything. Sorry, we were in object mode, and then you just select assign. And then we'll click right here to go into rendered mode, and there you can see. So this method of making the hair, it's fairly quick, it's fairly easy. Again, it's not going to give you necessarily flowing hair, but if you're in a jam, you need to make hair quick, and if you like to be in control. I feel like I have a lot of control with this hair, so that's it for the tutorial, guys. Thank you all out there who support this channel, who like these videos and reshare them. Thank you greatly. I really appreciate it. And for all of you who are new to this channel, if you like these videos and you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for viewing.